So some of the fun happened here at Shay's Cowdays. Oh man, I just love this stuff. So I found a dead RCX today, but I took it apart just to do a TikTok about it, and I put it back together, and it came back on. So whatever, it's what it is. But I could not get it started. Maybe the contacts were slightly corroded, and taking it apart and putting it back together made the contacts work. But it's right here. So I thought I had a dead RCX. Turns out that I don't. So this is, again, a proof of concept, POC as we call it in the biz, proof of concept. I did love the Gantry back in the day when Jeff and I were doing layouts together, and I did love the radar dish spinning again back in the day when Jeff and I were doing layouts together. The actual radar dish is just a micromotor powered, and of course it's half of a 920 over there, because I did drill some holes, and you see a little tiny wire. So those red things got life lights inside. So I have to find all the pieces that have the holes drilled in it so I can rerun the wires. But of course, everything was thrown into a box years ago. If I want to bring a 920 to the show, but having a radar dish spinning around, well, you'll see it in a sec. So I didn't bother, because of course I have two RCXs here that have to communicate with one another, because the whole idea is this RCX, all three outputs, 1, 2, and 3, run this guy, one for the upper arm up and down, one for the lower arm up and down, and one for spinning. And then, so I had to then take these two outputs over here, and one goes to the Gantry motor, it goes back and forth, and one goes to the micro motor over there. So that's 5 motors I'm controlling with 2 RCXs. Obviously, I could add a 6th motor, but I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. But I didn't want to, and so what happens is the Gantry is going back and forth randomly. The radar dish is going to spin randomly, which you're going to see in a second. But the Gantry goes back and forth randomly. But all of a sudden, the second a signal is thrown to the RCXs, the Gantry gets out of the way, and then the arm starts moving and doing what it's supposed to do, which is fantastic. So when nobody's pushing any buttons, the Gantry moves back and forth, and randomly, and the radar dish spins randomly. And that's good enough for people to see and view. But interaction, audience interaction, they press the button, and all of a sudden the arm starts working. And I think that's a cool thing. The problem is, of course, the arm is on this RCX, and the Gantry is on this RCX. So how to get these two RCXs to tell, so this one will say, hey, the Gantry's out of the way, you can run the arm now. What I did before, and this is basically exactly the same as when I had the crater base, because the arm would move when the 918 comes down off the platform and secure, and then the arm would start moving. And then when the arm stopped, it would get out of the way, and then the platform would go up and raise the 918 outside the crater. And so I was using IR communication between those two RCXs, because again, the arm has 3 motor outputs being used, and the other RCX controlled the scissor lift and the doors opening on the top of the crater. So basically identical programming, except this time I said screw it, because this is audience participation. The RCXs themselves, before it was like a random time when all that would happen, with the arm getting out of the way, and the lift would happen and the doors would open. That would just happen randomly. This time somebody specifically pushes a button, and you can have one touch sensor going to 2 RCXs. so this is me cheating. I didn't have to get the IR communication going and all that jazz that comes with having 2 RCXs trying to communicate using IR. I mean, it works. I've done it numerous times, because I had to have high level communication between the 2 RCXs for various robots when I had 2 RCXs in my robots to win competitions. But this one is just easy. So what happens is that these things will run randomly until somebody presses the button, and then the Gantry gets out of the way, and there's a timer for that, and then the arm will start doing what it's doing. Again, fingers crossed that I had all the timing worked out, because the RCXs themselves are not communicating with one another. You press the button, and a program kicks in that will move the gantry out of the way and then start the arm when the gantry's out of the way. And then when the arm is finished, there's a timer back on the gantry side that says the arm is finished doing what it's doing now, and to start doing its random thing again. So I haven't tested it yet at all. So we're going to see what happens live right now. So basically, I'm going to start the gantry first. So here's me starting the gantry. And you can already see that the radar dish is already spinning. Now the gantry does have physical stops, so you can hear the motor working. And so a random one way, at some point, random one way, there you go. Random one way, wait random time, and then random the other way, wait random time. So it just goes back and forth with random times and pauses in between. The radar dish is basically the same program. Random spinning one direction and then pause for a random time and then random spinning the other direction. The one change I made for the radar dish, because I don't want to task the motor too much, because I only have these bag of motors here in my entire life. And I've already found 2 that are dead. And those are not going to get resurrected like the RCX was. So I'm trying to turn the radar dish less than the randomness on the gantry. So the wait times on the gantry are wait 1000, add 500, or wait 500, wait 1000. So there's more wait time on the motor on the radar dish than there is on the gantry. But now, I should actually run this one. So right now the arm is resetting itself. The robotic arm is resetting itself to basic, and now it's waiting for a button push. And before, when you press the button, the arm would immediately start going to do what it's doing. Of course, the gantry's in the way right now, so you couldn't press the button now. But of course, the audience doesn't know that. So right now, on my random time for the, when you press the button, this thing will not start until 1,000 milliseconds goes by, or no, 1,000 hundredths of a second. Anyway, 10 seconds goes by, because that's the time I allotted for the gantry to get out. Because wherever the gantry is on here is a random. When you press the button, the gantry could be over here, it could be there, it could be there. So I'll wait till the gantry comes back up further this way, and then I'll press the button. So it's coming up further this way, and I press the button. Stop going back to the back. Just stop that. Come out to the front some more. So it's coming out to the front. Now I press the button. Oh, it's coming always front. So I press the button. So now the gantry is going to the back. I press the button. The gantry is going all the way to the back. You're going to hear the motor spin with the clutch gear spinning, because it could be all the way up here. And now it's stopped. And now the robot arm kicks in. Now the radar dish has nothing to do with any of this programming here. The radar dish is going to spin on its own, whatever is happening between these 2 devices here now. So I do have to get this thing centered, or where I want it, so it looks like the robot arm's doing something to it. But the gantry will stay out of the way for the entire time, and I put the timers in there to tell me how many seconds have gone by, to make sure that I have enough time allotted. So I don't like adding big 5-digit numbers to wait times. So I was wait 9,000, and I think that's like, I don't know how many, 30 seconds, whatever. And so it's waiting, and then so that was one set of 9,000. There's the next set of 9,000. So I think I put 4 9,000s in there, and then a 3,000 on top of that. Because I did time it. I did time the robotic arm. So right now the gantry is just waiting a specific time frame in order to start again. The randomness of the gantry moving. Where are we now? So now the robotic arm's done. That was the last 9,000, so now it's waiting at 3,000 or 1,000, and we should hear the RCX in a couple seconds. There he goes. Now the gantry's moving again randomly, and so that's actually works out pretty good. Again, if I had a rotation sensor, I could fix that so it wouldn't spin, or maybe a touch sensor at the end. I don't care. The clutch gears don't seem to wear out. I've done this for many shows where the clutch gear will spin and spin and spin and not move anything because it's at a dead stop. But so this will just be going for, if it was in the show display, this is what would happen. It would just sit there the entire show doing this until somebody presses the button. That's the idea. Again, most things I've built like this are not show ready. They get to a show and they stop working, and I just disconnect them after a while. But while we're up here, I'm just going to press the button again. And so I press the button again and see what happens. The gantry should go all the way to the back, and then the arm should start the second that motor. There we go. That works perfectly. So I can't complain about that at all. I honestly can't. I think that's fantastic. The looseness of the arm is a little bit concerning to me, because look how low it's pointing. It used to just point to the actual ship, and but I'm not going to worry too much about that. It still does look like it's doing something, but I can move the ship a little closer like that, and then it should do this again. So I think this is good enough to put into the layout. The thing is, of course, if you knew the layout, you know that crater plate is not behind the landing pad, so that 926 will not be right behind the gantry. I'm actually thinking of putting the 926 somewhere else in the layout and still having the wire run to it to run the radar dish and light it up with life lights. I think that's a cool thing, and look at that for a second. So this is what I did years ago. This is one of my first big hacks. And I mean, it's a hack. The drilling wasn't that pretty, but there's life lights underneath these two red things, trans red pieces. And as I said, it's just a micro motor sitting on top, and the wire comes out the back. So there's no really good way of hiding that, except just run it down the back like that. So I mean, that's fine. That's good enough. I think it's cute to have a radar dish working like that. But all this is run off of 2 RCXs. So again, can't complain about this at all too much. It's working pretty solidly, and it's small enough that I won't have to expand the number of boxes I'm bringing to a show. Because that's always, one of my big concerns is, oh, that was hitting the thing. Oops, that was me touching this. See, I shouldn't touch it. Touching it makes it stop working. This is nice. I'm honestly liking this. I really think that this adds to the show if I can get into the layout nicely. Yeah, so we'll work on that. So that's it. That's all. It's midnight. I'm going to go to bed now. I want everybody out there to stay safe, take care, and I will talk to everybody soon. Bye.